Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green and this is Wise Woman Oracle. And today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on, is this connection healthy for you right now? Or is this relationship healthy for you right now? Is this crush healthy for you right now? So this might be someone you are casually interested in, have recently met. This might be someone that you are seeing regularly or dating, or someone you're in a relationship with now but have some lingering questions and curiosities about. So I think this will be a helpful and revelatory reading. And I don't think I have any announcements today. So what I'll do is place a picture up now of your 3 card piles to choose from. As always, choosing from left to right, and we will get started. All right, so card pile 1. I feel like you are seeking a relationship that you haven't yet experienced, or maybe you're in a connection or a crush where you feel like you're not fully seen. So it's either, I feel like you've been, the one or two scenarios, you've either been isolated physically for a time, so you've actually been alone or spending a lot of time alone or in solitude, or you feel alone in this connection. I'm going to assume, because it feels most resonant and relevant, that it's the latter, which means you feel alone in this connection. You feel like you're not fully seen. For whatever reason in this connection, crush, relationship, whatever it is, you feel isolated, you feel alone. So perhaps they're not giving you the time, energy, attention that you would like. Perhaps they aren't showing up in the way that you show up into this connection, or it could also be they're not seeing you as you are. So like perhaps you see yourself in one way and they're not seeing it, or they're not valuing you or valuing certain qualities or traits. There's something here where you're feeling like you're not fully seen, and then as a result, you're feeling isolated in this connection, in this relationship. So let's see what else is here. Now, what's interesting though, what's so interesting is I almost wonder if it's about you not seeing yourself. And I don't want to always make it about this whole mirror psychology thing where it's like what we're experiencing is often a reflection of what's happening inside of us or how we feel about ourselves. I do feel like that is true in many situations. I also believe it's not always going to be true. There's an exception to most every rule, but it feels like perhaps somewhere, some way, you aren't seeing yourself. You are abandoning yourself. Maybe you feel vulnerable with this person. Maybe you like them more than you have liked someone else, or you want them to like you, or you really like them more than you've liked other people. And so it puts you in this vulnerable position to want to be liked, to want to be seen, to want to be valued or appreciated in a certain way. Because of course, if you're not, then there's the threat of the connection not lasting. So it's almost like with this person, this crush, this connection, this relationship, you feel particularly vulnerable and maybe even insecure and especially isolated because you want them to see you, maybe how you see yourself or how you wish they'd see you or how you would think that they need to see you in order to ensure the lasting sustainability or long-term possibility of this connection. But I do feel like it's something to do with yourself. Why? Because the energy isn't like, so we talk about this, right? The cards are showing that, there's this insecurity, not feeling seen, feeling isolated in this connection. But then there's this energy of seeing beyond the illusion, so your own projections, as well as letting this be new and grow into something more. So, and there's like a fresh, what's vibrant, maybe that's not quite the word, but it feels like a fresh, nice kind of energy to this that might actually be helpful for you or supportive for you, but perhaps you're not able to see it or feel it or experience it in the moment because you're so caught up in feeling isolated or disconnected in this relationship, in this connection. And again, that brings me back to, are you valuing you? Are you seeing your worth and value? Are you appreciating you? Like, is this really an issue with them or is it an issue with you? And I think you need to get clear on that first before you're going to find any sort of resolution or clarity or even prognosis or direction when it comes to this connection, this relationship. You're going to need to determine, is this really something about them or is this about you? And one of the ways to do that is to see it more objectively, which, one of the reasons you're here is to get information, right? So you are getting information right now from an objective source, But the more you can sort of set aside all of your projections, an activity that might be supportive for you or an exercise is getting out a piece of paper, old school paper. If you want to write it in an email or a note online, that's fine. But there's something sometimes helpful about a good old-fashioned piece of paper and writing down a list of all of your beliefs about this connection, or all the ways that they don't see you, all the ways that you do feel disconnected, all the ways that you do feel isolated or don't feel seen, etc., etc. Writing all of those down, exhausting that list, like being 100% about that, exhausting that list until you're like done. You're like, ah, and that's it, and then going to the other list, and you're going to go to a second list, and you're going to write down the facts of this connection, what they've actually told you, what their actions are, how they have shown up, how they haven't. It's really just identifying or listing the facts. So something that is objective, an observation that anyone could notice or see or write down, you're going to write those down. And then you're going to compare those lists. That's going to help you pull away from the illusion or any kind of, because in this case, it's not rose-colored glasses. It is doom and gloom colored glasses or themed glasses, where you might be seeing something for what it isn't, because I feel like this is actually connecting with a story you have about yourself that started in childhood. So I'm getting this where it's like you might have had this recording playing subconsciously, right? It's like you were actually playing a recording, but in your mindset and your awareness and your subconscious of I'm not worthy and I'm not good enough and no one's ever going to love me and no one's ever going to see me for my worth and value and no one's ever going to see who I really am, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So you have this kind of tape recording playing over and over and over again, and it's what kind of runs the show of your life. So when you do get into a connection that is especially worthwhile, meaningful, has potential, or you feel a lot of butterflies or whatever, where you feel like, oh, this could be something, or I want this to be something, you might actually be playing out this tape of self-sabotage, where it's like, if you see it that way, then you're going to believe it. You're going to show up that way. You're going to react and respond that way. Even if this person isn't at all showing up that way, I would imagine they are in some way, because these would have to be connecting a little bit in order for you to be making these decisions or having these assumptions and insights about this connection. But I feel like it's sort of just enough to sort of set off the alarm or the trigger for this tape recording thing to go haywire and kind of go nuts and short circuit, to where you're like, you're only seeing the projections or the illusion, right? You're not able to come out of the matrix, because this is what your subconscious has in store for you in terms of its belief about you, or how things will go, or how people will treat you, or how relationships will go. No one's ever going to love you, see you, appreciate you, value you, et cetera, et cetera. So then what happens? Ultimately, the relationship is likely to end, which then reinforces everything that you believed, even subconsciously. Even if it was subconscious, it's now played out in the conscious realm, where in the objective reality, where you're seeing other people participate. So there is something important here for you to see about yourself, your beliefs about yourself, the lens that you hold about yourself, and really get clear on, is this them or is this you? And then the one way to do that, like I said, this is one of probably many ways, is writing that list of what you believe about this connection, the meaning you've made about this connection, the meaning that you've made about how they've shown up or not for you, and then comparing that to the facts in this connection. So that way you can just start to parse out the details in terms of what's fact. Doesn't mean that all of your beliefs or quote unquote projections are fiction. It doesn't mean that they're all, unreal, untrue, that you're crazy. It just means that you automatically take the facts of the situation. You're going to default to what it is you believed about yourself in the past. So it's like the meaning that you're going to make is always going to come back to that. So if there's any ambiguity, if there's any uncertainty, if there's any mystery at all, if there are any questions unanswered in your crush, connection, relationship, you're going to default to this old tape recording in your subconscious that was started playing in your childhood, that was likely a reflection of what was happening with your caregivers and how you were treated or not, or the beliefs you had about how you wanted to be treated and how that was not met. And then it's now going to be believed about the situation that's playing out today, whether or not it is 100% true or not, right? Because the facts might even appear to show that this person is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And at the end of the day, no matter what they do, if it's even slightly, on the fence, if there's anything slightly unsure that you're unsure about, you're going to default to the old story of not being worthy, not being lovable, not being valuable, not being appreciated, even if they didn't mean it that way, even if they don't think that way, et cetera, et cetera. So let's see here. I do believe, this is a guided crush connection relationship. I feel like this is purposeful for you. I there's like nothing more that can come out of my mouth because I almost feel like I'm stopped in terms of like offering future projections about this relationship, because I really feel like it's important for you to be present right here and right now and let this sort of play out in the way that it's meant to, because it's actually a blessing in disguise, because this is what's going to support you to sort of unravel this old story so that you can see this subconscious narrative for what it is, and so that it can lose its power over you, because it ultimately isn't true. And you don't want this doom and gloom, these themed doom and gloom glasses to color all of your relationships and connections, especially the ones that matter most to you, because you might find that you are more confident or secure, don't have these issues in other relationships or connections. And that's because you, for whatever reason, you don't like them as much, you don't connect as well with them, it's not end game for you, so it doesn't make you weak in the knees, right? And again, sometimes, what do they call them? Trauma bonds. I'll put that in quotes. I don't like terms and trendy terms and things because I think it can stereotype things or make things way too simplistic. But sometimes those relationships can show up in this way. And so I want to be clear that it's not saying that this is your end game relationship, but it's also not saying that it's not. It's saying let this be what it is right now, because it's playing out something that's important for you to experience. But it does feel like fresh energy that is good and worth your while this moment, this second, this time in your life. It's going to bring you to where you need to be. It's a blessing in disguise. It's giving you something. There's something here for you. Okay. So now it's interesting though, because as I'm saying this, it's also about, when we have the the primary question here that's guiding us is this a healthy crush connection relationship for you right now? Or is this good for you, And it's saying, well, what do you think? What do you feel? But I find that interesting. The reason I'm saying it's interesting is because you have a lot of projections that are in this that would tell you to get out. This is unhealthy. They're not seeing your worth. They're not seeing your value. It's obviously bringing some stress to your world, to your life, but that's all from that place, that part of you that believes all those things that we already went over, that believes all those things. So that part of you is very stressed. That part of you probably doesn't feel very good. And so if you were going to make a decision from that part of you, you'd probably walk away from this connection, and it's probably not healthy because it's playing out in all the ways that you would expect or tell yourself. But if you can really do the work to step back and objectively pull back to see this for what it is, again, seeing the fact from the fiction or the fact from the feelings, and really start getting clear where these feelings came from, and to be able to see it more objectively in terms of, okay, this is what happened, but this is how I'm seeing it, because this is the meaning that I make of these kinds of experiences. And if this is a healthy connection, this is a situation where you should, ideally be able to go to the person and say, hey, this is what I'm moving through, depending if it's a crush and it's brand new, up to you on timing, maybe not yet. We'll see. I'm going to let you figure that part out. But it should ultimately be something or someone where you can go up to them and say, hey, I'm going through this right now. Some of the ways that you show up or some of this uncertainty in this connection makes me feel really uneasy, makes me feel really insecure. And these experiences from childhood come up where I feel like I'm not worthy or I'm not being seen or that I'm alone in this connection. And I'm working really hard to navigate this, but I'm going to ask and see if you partner with me and help me find fact from feeling, fact from fiction when it comes up, if I can receive it in that moment. But also I would like to ask you to be 100% clear with me, 100% upfront, because I'm the type of person who needs to not have any uncertainty to the degree that we can control in order for me to feel good or secure in this relationship or in this connection. So that might be something you're able to bring to them that would then support the movement, of this relationship, the unfolding, the unraveling here of this relationship or connection. So overall, card pile 1, my answer for you is this crush connection relationship good for you? I'm going to say yes. So it might be very stressful for you right now, very frustrating, very annoying, but recognize you are hitting up against the limits of your own self, of your own subconscious, of the stuff that's kind of hard to look at and feel. But this did not start and end with this person. This was here before them. This will be here after them. And you are going to have to do the quote unquote work of acknowledging this for what it is. It does exist. So first knowing that, and then being honest with yourself when you are hitting up against it, or getting the support so that you can see it, and then navigating through, and ideally having a partner. Maybe it's this one, maybe it's another one, but this one feels relevant for you right now, where you're able to partner with someone who can support you through this sticky, icky material that's hard to navigate through. When we're up against our subconscious, it can be quite the contender, we will say. But we all know that you win. You win against this contender. Not that they have to be, die or be eliminated. This isn't a fight to the death kind of thing. But ultimately, once you see it for what it is, and you're able to take note of it when it's happening in your reality, you can begin over time to choose differently. So card pile 1, do let me know your experiences. I want to hear how this ties up and relates to your experiences in the comments. Of course, like, share, subscribe, help me grow this channel, build this community, and I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 1. All right, card pile 2. Is this crush, connection, relationship good for you? Card pile 2, you're such a, maybe you're a hopeless romantic, maybe you're not, but I feel you to be a romantic, where you have this heart vision, this end game vision, this dream of this, ultimate romance or ultimate partnership, or whatever we want to call it. We could say fairy tale romance. We all know that fairy tales aren't real, but hey, we can't blame us for wanting them. We can't blame us for trying, right? I think we all have a part of us that's a hopeless romantic or believes in the fairy tale romance. And I don't think that's a part of us to sever or disconnect from, because that's our fool, right? We know the fool energy in the tarot is the part of us that's innocent and fancy free and a little bit careless, and just the heart is all in and all those things. Now we want to have other energies supporting the fool, because that can get us into a lot of sticky situations, jumping into everything, just hoping for the best, crossing fingers. All right. Not the fool on its own can be a little bit naive and scary because of what it can lead to. But if we have it paired with our other energies, the other energies of the tarot that make up all the parts of ourselves, then we're all set, because it has some other tools and resources it's working from. But all of that said, we don't want to rid ourselves of that hopeless romantic. We want to keep that. You want to cultivate that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I don't know why necessarily that I shared that message, because there's a message of some hope and optimism in there, and that innocent childhood dream of wanting that fairy tale romance. And I think a lot of us, especially those who are adults, are adulting, right? Or a lot of us who have been there, done that with many relationships. There's a tendency to be jaded, or to be realistic, or to whatever, kind of downgrade our dreams. And I don't think that that's necessary. Instead of downgrading the dream, it's like, okay, we can still have the full energy from the tarot, but we have other parts of us to work with too, so that everything is being properly supported. You wouldn't want just Emperor energy, right? We want all the different energies. So the full energy, especially in love, is a wonderful thing. It's a dreamy thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a magical thing. And so, hallelujah. Thank goodness for that experience on earth, because who doesn't love falling in love, and who doesn't like being the fool in love, right? What's that song? I can't help. I'm not really good at a deep voice. Falling in love with you. But he does have, right? He talks about being a fool, I think, in that song, and everybody loves that energy. So it's a good thing. Something and I think part of the reason I'm sharing this too, in addition, it feels relevant. I feel called to share it. But I think it's because a lot of us can shut this off and then say, done, out of here, numb, empty, disconnected, severed, out of here. And it's like, that's not the energy to go into. We want you to be a little bit dreamy. We want you to be a little bit visionary. We want you to be a little bit romantic. It almost brings tears to my eyes. We want you to be a little bit innocent, and carefree. I don't know why this is making me so emotional. So there's something here to card pile 2. Maybe there was a dream you gave up on, or many dreams, or things like that over time you've given up on, or this energy you've sort of gotten rid of, or severed yourself from, or decided it was no longer of use to you, or was dangerous. Because I said it can be a scary energy all by itself. And what I meant by that is it can put us in precarious situations, very vulnerable ones, and ones that can lead to harm if it's not also paired or supported by other energies. But it is important energy to maintain, to affirm, to insist upon. The full energy is what makes life worth living, right? If we get rid of that, we all become jaded, bitter, and old Clint Eastwoods. And while I love my inner cynic and I love Clint Eastwood, no one wants to live their life just like that, do they? No. So you might be someone who's naturally dreamy, naturally visionary, natural romantic, a hopeless romantic, and perhaps you've either been given crap about that in the past, or you haven't given yourself full permission to be that, enjoy that, to do that, or there was something that happened or a series of things that have happened that have brought you to sever that connection with yourself, and you're being sort of, you're being asked to give yourself permission to return to that energy again. What are those dreams? And we are going to get into your crush. Believe me, your connection, your relationship is all here, but this is so important. That's why it's being all just it's being given to you. Don't give up on this dream, or your dreams, or that dreamy part of you. That's an important part of you. It's an essential part of you. Your makeup, what you were wired for. There was something here. So whatever those dreams were that you sort of innocently held on to or dreamt of as a child, kind of no strings attached, not thinking about it in a practical way, or thinking it had to be a certain way or look a certain way, and there had to be these conditions in place and circumstances in order for it to happen. All those kind of things that come into the practical implementation of something, and what it's like to be an adult in a dream, and how you're actually having to run the whole show. Like, aside from that, get to the dream, the root. What was the original dream? The more you can get back to the original dream and get in that energy, it is going to support you to quote unquote manifest / experience that in your experience today. If you're in kind of jaded energy, or hyper practical energy, or hyper realistic energy, or energy that's very like focused on conditions, circumstance, practical necessities, etc., that's more the energy that you're going to get. You're going to get, kind of things that are dry or empty or disconnected or sterile. And it's like, well, that's not really what you're going for, is it? You're here to experience the dream, or a dream of a life. And that is an important quality. And it's something that you want to continue to cultivate. Number one, turn it back on. And I know it's not as easy as what I'm saying here, easier said than done. It's a process, but whatever you're going through with your crush, connection, relationship, I do believe is bringing you back into connection with this experience inside of you. It's helping to partner, or like that, it's helping you to partner with that part of you again. It's bridging that gap. It's bringing you back to the awe, the wonder, the playfulness, the simplicity, the innocence, the carefreeness, the carefree enjoyment. It's kind of sort of bringing you back into that. And so I'm already getting, when we say, is this crush, connection, relationship good for you or healthy for you? I can't answer that question yet because we haven't gotten all the way through, but I do feel it's serving you. It is serving your growth and your evolution. It's bringing you back to a sense of wonder, a sense of awe, a sense of innocence, a sense of freedom, a sense of carefreeness. That's not a word, but we're going to use it today. It's like there's something here around that quality that's really important for you in particular, card pile 2. Do let me know how that's resonating for you right off the top. We haven't even gotten into the connection yet. And please know that this is important. This is now for some of you, I'm also feeling like this crush, relationship, or connection, especially if it's more of a relationship than just a crush or connection, might have sort of helped, I don't want to say it like that way, or facilitated the disconnection of you from this dreamy quality. So if this relationship was that, this is probably still the reading for you, but it's going to be the opposite, right? So if this connection is making you feel less dreamy and less visionary and less romantic and doesn't do that for you, then this might not be the connection, crush, or relationship for you. Does that make sense? Because the whole point is instilling, but you already have it. It's like allowing this to be a part of your reality, a part of your experience. You want to have this romantic, dreamy, innocent version of you. The more you can cultivate that and kindle that, the better. So card pile 2, yeah, you have this dream, and I feel like you cut yourself off from this dream. Oh my gosh, you guys. It makes me so emotional. I feel like you cut yourself off from this dream for a while, and you just severed ties. Just forget it, There was something that happened. I'm not getting any energy on that just yet. And I don't think it's relevant, which is why it's not coming up. If it's relevant, it does come up in the readings, but it feels like whatever. Because it could just be life, right? It could just be a series of events, a number of things. It could be something traumatic or a relationship. It's not always something specific, but ultimately something led you in this life to where you cut that off. You said, okay, no more wonder, no more awe, no more innocence, no more romance, no more being dreamy. None of that. We won't have any of that because that leads to hurt. That leads to pain. That leads to wounding. So forget about it. You cut yourself off from that energy and said, like we were talking about, the full energy in the tarot, where I was saying that we need to partner with our other energies in the tarot. The Fool is shown pretty much walking off of a cliff, correct? I mean, that's the picture that we see in the tarot. And if we go walking off cliffs all the time, every day, without using our other energies or resources or other parts of ourselves, you better believe there's going to be a time or two or many that we crash into the ground below with no safety net. You know, it's good to have that youthful innocence and zest of the Fool in the tarot. It's not necessarily healthy to be living the energy all day, every day, because at some point you are going to come crashing down. You know, when you're driving or piloting a plane, you don't have a license, ultimately you're going to end up crashing. And even if you did have a license, if you do it every day, right, it's just more than likely. So it's like one of those things where it is important to maintain other energies in partnership with the Fool energy. It's like we don't get rid of it, but it's not in the driver's seat alone. You know, there's a whole bus full of parts of ourselves that we can utilize. But all of that said, you decided to sever ties to this Fool, this innocence, this wonder, this awe, this dreamy and romantic part of you. And you also believe, when we apply it to romance, you believe that this was no longer going to be possible for you. Because it's interesting is, yes, this is relevant to the connection in terms of like where you said, okay, that's not going to happen for me or whatever. And I feel like this connection, crush, relationship makes you believe that it might be possible. But some of you, there's a small minority of you, probably 30%, who are in a relationship where it's the flip side, where you had a big dream for this relationship in particular. And there was a Tower moment at some point, or maybe even a Ten of Swords, that now that relationship has brought you to this place where most people, it feels like 70% of you who are listening, so let me know which side of this you're on, where you've already had this stuff happen in the past. Now you're entering a new connection and you're wondering if it's healthy for you. And I feel like you're wanting this to be the dream, wanting this romance to be the thing, and or you're wishing it to be maybe better than it is. Because if you're here asking if it's healthy or good for you, you do have some lingering questions about it. You're at least curious about it. But I feel like for a time you severed yourself off from romance, from the dream, from these wonder-like qualities. And I feel like this relationship, this connection is meant to help bring you back to life. But it's so interesting because in this reading, yes, there's a connection here, but I keep being guided to talk about just this energy within you, less about the relationship. And I think that might be because, again, some of you are on the flip side where the relationship actually took this quality from you because of the trauma. You know, it could be trauma. It could be just, again, daily BS, or just relationships go south sometimes. We're just not compatible anymore. Whatever flavor, pick your poison, whatever. So I think that maybe that's why I'm being guided to just speak to the energy, but ultimately you're in a time period of coming back to life, of reconnecting to awe, reconnecting to wonder, reconnecting you to romance, reconnecting you to aliveness. And there's something here that's asking for you to, how are you going to do that in your everyday life with or without this person? Now, because it is the majority energy, I do want to speak to, if this is a crush connection or a brand new relationship, that let this experience bring you to those places. It's bringing light to all those nooks and crannies, those corners of darkness that have long since been covered in cobwebs. If we've all become, not in real, I was going to say we've all become old cat ladies. That's not true. I'm not an old cat lady. I don't even have cats. But it's kind of like the energy of the old cat lady, where like there's cobwebs in all the corners and we're just kind of huddled up with our cats. And it's like light is being brought in. Someone's opening the curtains and the blinds, someone's opening the door, and they're bringing all the light in, and we're cleaning out the cobwebs. There is something to like juicy aliveness, like coming through, waking you up, putting light into the dark corners and sort of bringing you back to life. And that's what is good about this connection right now. I mean, obviously there's something happening here that's bringing you to this. I mean, it could just be a general question. Hey, is this the right relationship for me? And in that case, perfect. But for those who have some lingering questions or doubts about this connection, it could be because, number one, you were wondering if they are in game or the one, or will they line up with the fantasy or the dream that you have for yourself? But it could also be like you're not sure if they're going to be that dreamy romantic figure that you have in your mind. But again, pair your Fool energy, the dreamy romantic visionary one, with your other energies. I wouldn't sever my connection with someone because they're not adding up to being Prince Charming. The Fool energy is important, but bring on the other voices and parts of you to make a wise and insightful choice. I think most of us usually know whether someone's right or wrong for us. Ultimately, it might be hard to face the truth, but we usually do. So interesting. The first reading was only 14 minutes. I'm almost at 14 minutes. And I feel like I've hardly covered yours. So I'll get through it, but I am going to give it the extra time because that's what I was given today. As much as I like to be fair to the piles, I also want to honor the energy that's here. But I do feel like this is meant to awaken you in some way. This is meant to rekindle your connection with your inner Fool energy, wonder, awe, innocence, and help you come back to life. So use it, let it do that, let it be what it is, let it serve the purpose it's here to do. And it's saying like, you want to be in an empowered position in this connection. It's so interesting because I keep getting pulled back to just focusing on you versus a connection. And that's hard because I want to stay on track too with the theme. But I have to trust that what's coming out is what's meant for you. Because there's something here about maybe feeling insecure, weak, vulnerable, kind of just a little shaky on your foundation. Maybe it's because you're finding your legs again, especially if you've been old cat lady. And by the way, you don't have to be a lady. I'm talking about this energy. If you're an old cat lady and you've been here for a while, there's a lot of cobwebs on the corners and this and that. It probably is a little bit, you have to like dust things off and like get dressed in your Sunday dress and like put your hair in something and look good. It might take a little extra effort. But my point is that you're a little shaky on this. This was kind of new for you, but it's saying be patient with this, be patient with yourself and let yourself grow into whatever this is to become, because ultimately this is about you flowering and blossoming again, and less about, is this the right connection for me? As annoying as it is as a consumer who came here to get that precise answer. Some of you might even be single and wanting the dream and came here to ask about maybe a future crush or connection, because I feel some of you are just solo, like self-partnered and just curious about your future connection and how do you manifest that? How do you materialize that? If you're listening and you're that, put that below because I want to hear about that. Now, some of you might be in a connection where, again, you're insecure in this connection because of your history, because of your past, because it's been a while since you've been in a relationship. Again, a little, cat lady, whatever, like, does my hair okay? I mean, do I smell okay? Just kind of a little insecure and vulnerable because this is new, right? Or a new word for you for a little while now. Might be a little insecure in this connection. And it's saying, coming into a place of empowerment with yourself as opposed to being in that. And it's okay to be in that energy too. But it's saying like, trust yourself, trust where you're at, trust your journey, not having to be anything in particular or specific. Now, the other energy that I got when I opened these cards, like right off the bat, was for some of you who are in a connection where the person maybe isn't giving you what you want or showing up in the ways that you want. It's saying, flip the script as opposed to making it about like, oh, this is sad, they're not showing up for me, and I don't really know, and I don't know if they like me and all these things, and I don't know if they're going to turn out to be this. It's like flip the script. What are they bringing to the table for you? And is this serving you? Do you like this? Is it doing what you want it to do? As opposed to, do they like me? Do they want me? And what can I do? And that kind of thing. Like flip the scripts that you're in the empowered position here. And at least in your mindset, right? First and foremost, you want to be in an empowered position and instead of a disempowered position in this connection. It's important for you to be in that space of empowerment, and it's okay to be vulnerable when we're in empowerment, but that's a different energy than disempowerment, where we're assuming failure, assuming the worst, assuming we're not liked, we've been crazy cat lady for how many years, they're not going to like us, etc., right? All that's not going to add up because some of you have been in a relationship that led to this, and if that's the case, then for you, this is about stepping into that empowerment energy to then turn your life around, get back on track with or without this person to move toward your dreams, right? That would be the answer for those people. Yeah, it's saying what you want wants you. It's just like your mind and your stories and your overthinking and analysis paralysis or stress or whatever is what is getting in the way. It's like, let this come to you. Let this reawakening come to you. Let this invigoration come to you. Let this a rebirthing come to you. There's something happening here that's awakening your body, your mind, and your spirit. Let that be enough. Maybe it's not fireworks and fancy roses. Maybe it's not end game. It might be. I'm not saying it's not because, there's a lot of good energy here, but primarily it's been focused on you. So that's all I can speak to is what's coming through for you. And it's because it's almost like this is meant to serve you in some way. So let it be what it is without needing the relationship, the connection, the crush to be something in particular. Oh, it has to take this form or it has to do this one thing, because it's not even about that. This is about letting you be given the medicine that you need right now to reawaken yourself, to rebirth who you are, like to rebirth, the parts of you that desire, the parts of you that, wonder, awe, aliveness, innocence, freedom, moving toward joy, moving toward your dream, all those things that you want for yourself. This is more about reawakening the dream and letting you pursue it in a real tangible way and even believe in it as a real tangible thing. It's much more about that than, say, this particular crush, connection, or relationship. And for those of you who want a different relationship or aren't in one or whatever, it's almost like when you can get into this kind of supple, soft energy of like aliveness, innocence, wonder, awe, when you can get into that energy, it is going to be, quote unquote, easier to manifest this sort of end game or fairy tale romance that you seek, because you're in that embodiment of that energy, right? Instead of being the old crazy cat lady with cobwebs in the corner, you're juicy, you're supple, you're alive, you're feeling good, you're feeling confident, you're back on track of your own dreams, you're connecting with your visions again, your inner child, and all of that stuff. So card pile 2, that is your reading. I do want to hear from you, card pile 2, for sure, because this was an unusual reading in the fact that we were talking about a crush, connection, or romance, a relationship, and it primarily focused on you. But I do feel like there's a dream romance here. I do feel like you want it to be something, or you're single and dreaming of it, or you're in a relationship that's had a tower moment and you're dreaming of it, and you're looking at sort of the crumble of what once was. And this is about you coming back to life on the path or in line with your own desires, stepping into a more empowered position in this case, and letting things play out as they should, and recognizing what you want wants you is literally on its way and happening as we speak. So whatever situation is in your life right now, let it be as it is, without messing it all up with your worries or your insecurities or your fears or doubts or whatever that are happening in your mind. Let yourself receive. All right, card pile 2, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 2. All right, card pile 3. Is this crush, connection, or relationship good for you? Is it healthy for you? Card pile 3. I feel like you are getting in your own way on this one. Doesn't mean that the other person isn't responsible. This isn't all magic and fairy tales, or that it is all magic and fairy tales. It just means there's some responsibility to take here. I feel like that's the direction that we're headed. So just going ahead and putting that down, laying it down for you. We're going to dive into obviously the deeper details and nuances of this, but I feel like ultimately if you were to kind of lean back out of your overthinking and out of your like assuming the worst mindset or out of your space of insecurities, by the way, if it was at all relevant for you or you felt drawn to pile 1 at all, you might check that out before you come back here. That's only if you were drawn to it. I'm not going to recommend it for everyone who's listening to card pile 3, but there might be a connection there. I feel like you are exhausting yourself in this connection. So, out of my 3 card piles, I feel like you guys have put a lot more investment into this connection, probably than even what it's worth so far, especially if it's a new relationship or connection where it's like, they don't deserve this much of your energy, baby. Let's just be honest. They just don't. Not yet. They haven't earned their stripes. But you put a lot of investment into this. You might be just that wholehearted lover, that devoter, the devotee. You might just be that kind of person, so there's nothing wrong with it, and I'm not judging you for it or shaming you for it or whatever. I'm just saying this person hasn't worked that hard for it. That's all I'm saying. What has happened because you've invested so much of yourself into it is I feel like it's just exhausted you. It's been tiring. It's drained you. It's caused you stress. It's caused undue stress that isn't even necessary. It's like this could be way easier. This could be way more enjoyable. This could be something that's much more easygoing and flowy than what it has been. But because you're going to stick in your hands and like multiple hands, as many hands as you can, even though you only have 2. But let's just say you keep adding more hands into this pot and it becomes like total chaos or a mess. Like that's what's happening here. And I think, again, it's being driven by maybe fear, doubt, but especially insecurities. And it could just be curiosities. You might just be an overthinker. And if there's any kind of ambiguity or lack of clarity at all, you tend to be one to like go into overdrive and overthink. But in one way or another, you're being asked to listen to your inner voice, the part of you that's calm, peaceful, and quiet. Doesn't mean that we always have to be calm, peaceful, and quiet, or that the calm, peaceful, quiet part of us is better than the part of us that's loud, noisy, and chaotic. Like there's no like value judgments here. It's just saying that part of you, the quiet natured part of you, the calm part of you is going to offer a truer version of events that's a little bit more objective than the one that's like loud, screaming, noisy in your face about all the problems you think you might have in this connection, or that, and maybe you don't have a lot of problems. Maybe you're just suspicious, or you're curious, or you're unsure and you're wondering, it could just be that kind of energy. Hold on, I have a call. I have to get rid of that. And so all of that said, one way or the other, you're interfering with a connection that could be a lot more easygoing But because of your overthinking mind, or maybe your insecurities or whatever, you tend to be making it a bigger deal, or making a bigger issue, or making it more stressful than it needs to be or has to be for you. Okay. So again, some of you might just be asking innocent questions, or having natural innocent curiosities about your crush, connection, or relationship. But if you're on card pile 3, and because of the energy that's here, you are obviously stirring this pot a lot more than you probably need to. So that's the energy that's being shared with you here, where it's like, this could be so much easier. This could be just so much more receiving, like so much more receiving for you. Like perhaps you're in a connection or relationship or a crush that's going to, be simple and easygoing, and maybe it's not in game, maybe it is. Like a lot of those like kind of future projections haven't really been a part of this reading for any of the card piles, where it's basically just talking about, well, how is it serving you right now? Obviously abuse and things like that aside, because that's never going to be encouraged or condoned. It's like, if it's here and if it's serving you, and obviously it is, if you're engaging with it, then perhaps it's right for you right now. But what it is saying is it could serve you even more. It could be even more enjoyable. It could even be more pleasurable if you let yourself enjoy it and let yourself receive it, as opposed to try to make sense of it or understand it or analyze it or this, that, and the other, where we try to interfere with something and maybe fix it or get it or whatever. I just feel like you're exhausting yourself in this crush, connection, or relationship. And if you were to lean back a little bit more and let yourself just experience the love that's here, as opposed to sort of like micromanage it, or like make it a certain way, or want it to add up a certain way, or have the answers right away, it would be more easygoing for you. There's a lot of love here when the judgment is put aside, whether it be analysis or overthinking or curiosity. Again, it could just be an innocent energy like curiosity. It doesn't always have to be these charged things like, judgment. But you are tiring yourself or draining yourself in this connection one way or the other, because that's the energy that's here. It's like it's saying it could be easier. It could be more easygoing. This could be enjoyable. Yeah, it's like, go with the flow on this one. Maybe it's not going to fit into a box. Maybe you're not even going to have the answer. Maybe you're not going to know the answer right now. I feel like you want to know, kind of the finality of it, or you want to know something, or you want something concrete. You want something tangible, something you can hold on to, and you're being asked to more step into, as opposed to like the 3D version of you that needs and wants all of that, more into like your higher self, not that there's a hierarchy or that's actually higher, but the part of you that's a little bit less attached to all of that stuff and can kind of see all and know all, that part of us where you're able to just go with the flow and let things be. And take it moment by moment, minute by minute, and just be present to what's here and what is right now. You're being asked to step more into that energy than the other energy of like, whether it's control or micromanaging. And again, those have a connotation too. And I don't want it to be that you feel bad about those behaviors or those impulses, because I feel like most of you are just here to ask a question and or like want to have some idea, or maybe the person hasn't been upfront with you, or things aren't happening or showing up in the ways that you'd like, and you're kind of like, kind of scratching your head like it's not some big dramatic thing. And then I'm like, stop micromanaging. And you're like, well, I'm not really micromanaging. I guess I'm just kind of asking. So I don't want it to feel like that, but I guess the energy of it feels like ultimately it's a micromanagement energy, because you're trying to gain a specific answer or fix a certain outcome, like fix, when you fix the card game or something like that. You want to be sure of something, and you want it to be, you want to be sure of something, or you want to ensure something. And when we're in that kind of energy, that's a control energy. So it's not like it's bad. It's not like it's wrong. It's not like it's over the top or melodramatic. It's just that energy. But it's asking you to get into a little bit more of a flowy state, a go with the flow state, just be in the moment state, as opposed to a place that feels affixed, where it has to be this way or it has to be that way. You need to know this or you need to know that. How about just being right here? Is it serving you right here, right now, this moment? Judgments aside, ideas about how it should be or should go or how you'd like it to be aside. Is it serving you this moment? If the answer is yes, then it's serving you. Okay, let's see what else here. Yeah, I feel like you've been sort of running yourself into the ground here, or like putting yourself in a position of a lot more emotional upheaval or upset than is necessary in this crush, connection, or relationship. Again, it could be overthinking. It could be over questioning. It could be seeing things that aren't there. Like, what I mean by that is We talked about this a little bit in card pile 1. So if you are a cross watcher in that way, then you're hearing this again. But it's like there's the objective facts of a situation, like this happened, this happened, this happened. I said this, I said this, I said this, they said this, they said this, they said this. Then there's like feelings or interpretations or meanings we give to something or projections. And so it's like being clear on, did this factual thing actually happen? Or is this just how I took it? Is this how I perceived it? Is this the meaning I've made out of it? So getting clear on that piece, because those are the things that are kind of getting in the way of you enjoying this connection more. It could be more enjoyable. It could be more enjoyable if you, did I just say that twice? It could be more enjoyable and it could be more easygoing, and you could receive more here if you were coming from the place of more of your inner voice or your inner truth or the truth. Not that there's any one objective truth, but if there was one, what would it be saying? That calm, present part of you, what would it be saying? The loud, noisy part of you, I don't like this or I don't like that. It might be saying that, or it might be saying this person isn't doing this or this person isn't doing that, or it's saying, I don't know what to think and this person, right? So it's like that kind of stuff tends to be easier for us to focus on. And yet the deeper part of you, of your innermost layers, have a different message than what your mind, your conscious mind is like kind of throwing at you in terms of like things you have to worry about, things you have to ask about, things you have to stress about, things you have to think about. It's like saying, hey, you could actually just like lean back and enjoy this ride a little bit, it's like that energy. But I do like to be a little bit more practical, and I'd almost like to ask, how can you contact that inner voice? Because that's what you're being asked to do. It's saying, ask yourself how you can receive in this situation. So it's like the energy is this. It's like with the conditions as they are in this crush, connection, or relationship, assuming that you're here and in it right now, okay, which you are. But my point is, you might not be in it later. You might be in it later. You might, if some of you are asking about a relationship you've been in for several years, you might be planning to leave it. But if you're here right now, this message matters. And it's like, with the conditions that are in place, how can you receive from where you're at right now? It's focusing on that. So it's like, whatever is here, whatever conditions are here, how can you make the most of it, more or less? So it's like a garden, let's just say, isn't producing all that you want it to produce, but it is producing tomatoes. Okay, well, enjoy the tomatoes while they're here. Does that make sense? It kind of has that energy. We'll focus on what you can receive. I know a lot of the time when I work with my clients, who are usually, or at least some of the time, most of the time, mothers, I say we as a mother, being a parent of a child, where it can be hard to find time and to do self-care and to have space for ourselves and all these things, right? And it's not one of those things where we can just say, just find the time or just do it, because there's a practical reality and consideration that there's another body that's, asking you for something or demanding something or that needs something. And it doesn't matter if they ask or not, we need to do it. It's our responsibility. So it's not like we can just do away with it, but we say to ourselves, okay, within the condition, the parameters of motherhood, how can you receive here? What can you do to receive more, right? So it's kind of that energy. It's like accepting where you are. Here you are. Now what? So you are in this situation. How can you receive in this situation as it is right now? So it might not be everything you want it to be or everything it's going to be eventually. It might not be, you might not have all the answers or know how it's going to look later or whatever, but you do know that it's here now and you can receive now as it is. And if you just, take the dial, even imagine yourself, you can even visualize yourself. You have all these questions or insecurities or lingering curiosities. You're just thinking about this stuff or wondering about this stuff. You're just turning the volume a little bit down. That's all you're doing. You're turning the volume down on that, and then you're turning the volume up on your inner voice. And what would it say? And then when I asked, okay, well, how are they going to distinguish and how are they going to find their inner voice? If they're used to responding to their more mental energy or their mental activity, how are they going to find the inner voice? How are they going to listen or find truth? And it's going to be by turning the dial down of the conscious mind, which is fed and driven by the subconscious mind, and then turn the dial up on the deepest truth, the deepest voice, the part of them that is quiet, the part of them that is that calm presence, the part of us that is pretty much baseline, always there, awareness itself. What does awareness itself say? We could sort of peel back on the judgments or ideas of how things should be, all that stuff and all that noise, we give attention to what's there. And the reading is telling you there is something to receive here if you let yourself receive without bringing any other stuff into it. So card pile 3, is this good for you? Is it healthy for you? It's saying there is something here for you, that there is an opportunity to receive here and experience and enjoy. There is something here for you if you can find peace in the situation that you're in and let yourself lean back and let go of some of the other sort of interference like behaviors and just let yourself receive the love that's here. It's as simple as that, card pile 3. Let yourself receive the love that's here. All right. I would love to hear your story, your experience in the comments. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you, card pile 3.